Well, Nancy, I don't think anybody got the answers that they were hoping for over these last couple of days here in Riyadh. Certainly not U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. All he really seemed to walk away with there is a serious commitment from the Saudis to investigate, to continue to investigate, and really to take action against anyone that could have perpetrated this, including members of the royal family. I mean, that was really the message that we heard from him over the last 24 hours. Now he's moving on to Turkey, where he'll be speaking to Turkish officials. Certainly he'll be meeting with the president. There'll be to the foreign minister as well. I'm sure they'll have more news for him there, but I think it's really interesting to take a step back at this point, considering all of the news flow that we've seen since Sunday, really, with the Saudis finally stepping up to the plate and breaking their silence after almost 2 weeks of really no message except that there was an investigation coming outside of the kingdom. And it's interesting to know what we've seen over these last 3 days. Nancy, you've said again and again, multiple business leaders from around the world stepping back from this FII, from this Davos in the desert. And part of this, of course, has to do with politics because, as we've mentioned before, President Trump really linking himself very, very early on in his administration to the future of Saudi Arabia, to the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. And of course, this does have major implications for what happens coming up in the midterms, coming up on all of the things that they're working on Capitol Hill in terms of the $1 billion in infrastructure development in the United States, in terms of that nuclear pact as well. So it does have geopolitical and U.S. political ramifications, but it also, of course, has ramifications for the corporate world, for the business community. And at the end of the day, this is a country that's invested more than $90 billion in SoftBank alone. They're majorly invested in the tech sector, as we know. They're heavily invested in Silicon Valley, and Silicon Valley has been heavily invested in them, quite frankly. So we're not just talking about technology and weapons, we're also talking about really the future of the Middle East. Let's listen in to what Larry Fink had to say yesterday.
What I wanted to do was to find a way that we could possibly have this conference delayed until the investigation is completed. We have better information, and we could do this in a non-emotional way. I did not achieve that objective, and so I had to make a decision related to, okay, my relationship with the kingdom and my relationship with all my constituents. And it was very clear I had only one choice, and that was to withdraw from the conference.
But he's talking about their withdrawing from the actual event in a couple of days here, Nancy, this Davos in the desert. He's not talking about a long-term withdrawal from commitments to Saudi Arabia, from an interest in investing and cross-investment here with the kingdom. And I think it's really interesting that we've seen Endeavor over the last 24 hours basically saying that they were pulling back from their commitment in terms of making a deal with the Saudis. We've also seen that from Richard Branson as well. And of course, we've heard about all of these CEOs, including now Christine Lagarde with the IMF, essentially saying it wasn't the right time to come to Saudi Arabia and really be a part of this second Davos in the desert. But at the end of the day, as I say, it seems as if these corporates, these mega multinational companies really do understand that Saudi Arabia really isn't going to go quietly into the desert here. They have the funds to back it up. Hey everybody, it's Hadley Gamble from our new CNBC Middle East Bureau in Abu Dhabi. Thanks for stopping by. Now to watch more, you can try one of the videos that just popped up on your screen. And don't forget to subscribe.